Hello, my loves. We are back with another video. I meant to make one yesterday, but I spent the day with my boyfriend and ended up not really being free to record until like 11:30 that night. So I decided to just pass and wait till today to make a video. And today's video is one that might generate a lot of discussion. And I was kind of up in the air about whether or not I wanted to do it, but I've decided, you know, might as well. It's a question that's on everyone's mind. So you might be wondering what the heck I'm talking about. Today I'm looking at pulling a couple cards from this deck about the coronavirus. Now, I'm sure you've all heard about it, seeing how it's definitely at this point this global pandemic. And I know that it's varying from country to country what's going on and what protocols are being put in place. Like Italy is currently intact, like the entire country's in quarantine. I know, I think I saw today that the UK, certain schools are like being shut down and stuff. And I know in America they're looking at shutting down lots of events. The NBA got canceled last week, I think, and we're just seeing a lot of stuff going on. I'm in Canada. I live in Ontario, yeah, and kind of outside of Toronto-ish area. So we aren't being hit quite as hard as some of the other countries are, but we're definitely doing pretty big steps to try and stop a large influx of people from being infected all at once. Because I think I saw, Italy got infected almost overnight. Just everyone got so sick right away. So from the get-go, as soon as there was like 1 or 2 cases in Canada, we were like, okay, we need to do something immediately to stop everyone else from getting sick. So Ontario, my province, has called a state of emergency, which I was saying to my boyfriend this morning is pretty rare. I can't remember the last time the whole province has called a state of emergency. We've definitely had cities in our area call them before, especially when there's been like really bad flooding and stuff, but never the whole province, at least not that I can remember. And I know they're canceling events for people, or for events that have over 50 people. So, this is like concerts and stuff, but as well as, including your bars are being closed, restaurants or dine-ins are being closed, daycares are being closed. My younger sibling is in grade 12 and they aren't able to go to school right now. And yeah, there's just been a lot of actions like that. Our local libraries are closed, which sucks for me at least because I love going to the library, but we're definitely trying to keep everyone that we can safe. And yeah, that's the thing too with us, is that some of the most important people to me do work that is still a thing that's a lot to carry on. So like my roommate, for example, he works for a pizza place and he does delivery. So the dine-in part of the pizza place is closed, but he's still going out to people's homes, tons and tons of people every single day, delivering them pizza and hoping that they aren't infected and getting him sick. And then my boyfriend he works at a call center with over 200 employees. And what I've heard is that a lot of them sound very sick right now, and he's still expected to go into work every single day, and they don't really have a lot of paid days there. So I know that it's definitely a worry of mine, worrying about my roommate and my boyfriend getting sick. And then my roommate and I have a wonderful cat that I've heard mixed stories on whether or not animals can get infected, so I'm worried about her too. I don't want to be losing our cat. But yeah, I know it's definitely, a lot of people are just worried about what's going on and what's going to happen. And a lot of places, at least Canada and Ontario, a lot of our things are shut down until like the beginning or middle of April, and that's their kind of estimated guess, is that by then we will have shut it down long enough for everything to kind of be back to normal after that. And I know a lot of other countries, from what I've heard from Tumblr and my friends and stuff, a lot of other countries are following the same practices of being closed until April, and then kind of reevaluating at that point. So I know it's, another big question about whether or not things are going to be open again in April, and what we're looking at after this sort of end date that the government has set happens. So yeah, point is, I know there's a lot of concerns. Sorry to just ramble about this for 4 minutes, but there's a lot of concerns. So I figured I'd pull a few cards and we'll just kind of see what's going on. What what's happening. I'm not going to be addressing any of the conspiracy theories or anything regarding the coronavirus. That isn't really something that I just want to get into because it's highly debated. So for this reading, we are going to go with the assumption that everything we've heard from the news is true, and that the coronavirus is something fatal that we should be aware of, especially if your immune system is compromised. So we're going to be reading for that, and let's not get into the topic of conspiracy theories today. Okay, so what is up with the coronavirus? Okay, so the first card I pulled is the Seven of Coins. Now, for this, I'm seeing rebuilding. He's kind of, well, to me, it looks like he's almost planting these coins into the ground, right? He's planting the seeds to grow his money tree, sort of thing. So what I'm seeing here is that there will be a lot of rebuilding that needs to happen, And I don't think this surprises anyone. Our economy is definitely suffering from this. I think I saw somewhere that America put an ungodly amount of money into their stocks or something to try and raise that whole thing. I don't really understand the business financial side of it. I'm not gonna lie about that, but I know that it's definitely suffering. I don't know if this is related at all either, but our gas right now has dropped to around 80 cents per liter, which before this whole thing it was about $1.12 or so. So it's definitely dropped considerably. The Canadian dollar is now, as of this morning, it was 68 cents to the American dollar, and typically the average is around 70, 71 cents. So our currency is a lot less than it was prior to this as well, or worth less. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see what happens there. And like I said, with the Seven of Coins, for my financial and business side of things, my video is being super glitchy right now. But anyway, from this side of things to the financial side, I'm seeing that there is going to need to be a lot of rebuilding. I don't think it's something that's going to happen immediately. It's not like this is an economical disaster thing that they can just kind of get over right away. It's going to be something that needs to be taken time, and there'll be a lot of concerns. And as well, I just sense in terms of how governments handle these sorts of situations, there'll be a lot of learning and rebuilding in terms of that, and kind of reevaluating our pandemic responses. I think I saw somewhere that Trump had fired the pandemic response team back in 2018 for America. I'm not sure if this is true, so I'm definitely not going to quote that and say 100% that's a true fact. I've just seen it in a couple different places. So, if that's true, then I feel like this card is kind of saying that this is something that will get rehired and recreated in America, that is. Let me just pull another card for us. Because like I said, I can't speak too much to the financial side of things. Ace of Swords. So again, I'm seeing a lot of learning. It looks like, obviously, I would say this is a very big learning leap for our countries and for the world as a whole. We haven't had something quite this big for a while. I think the last pandemic we had was the swine flu back when I was 9 years old or something. So I don't really remember the whole circumstance around that, but I don't think it was as bad as this was, because I know for a fact I was still going to my elementary school at that point, and that was never canceled or closed or anything, whereas right now we are seeing the schools being closed. So I just think, again, to kind of follow up with the Seven of Coins in terms of rebuilding, we're going to be seeing a lot of learning. And like I said, not just for us personally learning how to deal with it, but I'm thinking more the government learning how to, protect its population, take care of us in a way that will be more beneficial going forward. Because like I said, right now, it's certainly not ideal that my roommate's having to put his health at risk and his parents' health at risk and everyone else he comes in contact's health with at risk, just because, he won't get paid for sick leave. He could risk getting fired if he takes too many sick days. So here he is still giving pizza to all these people and putting everyone at risk that he meets, and they're all putting him at risk, right? And likewise, like I said, because my boyfriend works at a call center, he's also being put at risk every day. So I just feel like when it comes to like corporations and employers, there's definitely going to be kind of a learning curve here, especially if people start striking, which again, we haven't seen that in the cards yet. But just given the state that everything's in, I wouldn't really say it's out of the question to be seeing strikes coming soon, especially since so many kind of government mandated jobs are being, canceled, and then people who aren't working for the government or aren't working in that sort of job, they're still being put at risk and stuff, right? So I'm just saying if there's any striking, that's definitely going to be influencing how employers are going to be treating their employees in the future. So far what I'm seeing from the cards isn't necessarily good things, but I'm just seeing that this is going to be a serious enough issue to hopefully kind of change the state that our government and corporations treat us in. Maybe we'll see kind of a change in the whole capitalism ideal. I doubt that, to be honest, but fingers crossed. Let's pull another card. Okay, so this is kind of not the card I was looking for necessarily, but I was looking to see, this sort of quarantine and self-isolation is going to carry on past April. Because like I said, I know that's a question on a lot of people's mind. We're all very worried about the effects of what happens if we can't go about our daily life after, the beginning of April. And I pulled the Ten of Wands. Now, I will admit this is not the card I was hoping for. I'm glad it gave me an answer, not necessarily a card that I would have wished to pull for this. For me, when I'm looking at this card, I am seeing that we will be looking at quarantines going for longer than April. I'm seeing that businesses will continue to be shut down for longer than what was previously expected and told to us by, government officials and whatnot. And I just think that we will be kind of not stuck, but we'll be locked into our houses for longer than what we're expecting. And this is also saying that we're going to have to work on kind of taking care of ourselves. We'll have all these burdens and not really have any help for it. So I'm just going to move this a little bit. Here we go. Which doesn't really surprise me, to be honest. Like, Lex, down from the table. Do not eat my starfish. Sorry, the cat likes to play with my crystals. Anyway, I'm sensing, like I said, that there'll just be a lot of us kind of having to take care of our own burdens. And we're not going to have a lot of support from the people in charge, especially since, like a lot of, at least in Canada, and I wouldn't say a lot, but in Canada, like Trudeau and his wife are in self-isolation right now because she was tested positive for coronavirus. So I think, too, if things are going to get worse, I think a lot of the people in charge are going to kind of go into hiding, probably. They're going to help out as much as they can, and in Canada, Trudeau, today or yesterday, announced way more money than I expected him to announce to go towards companies to help pay for sick leave and to offer employees sort of like benefits and stuff if they can't be working and their company isn't giving them any money. You just call into like a hotline and you can receive money that way. So there certainly is steps being taken, but I just sense that for the most part, a lot of us aren't going to feel like we have the government or your employer or anything like that. I'm just seeing that we're not going to feel like they are on our side. It's kind of going to have a very much kind of you versus everyone else mentality. Now, in terms of that too, that is something to watch out for. With this you versus them sort of ideal, you have to keep in mind that it's not really you against me, against everyone surrounding us, right? It's not like, you have to be scared of every single person you meet. It's more like you have to keep in mind that we're all going through the same thing. And we're all, falling victim to the fact that we're kind of stuck in a world where capitalism and corporations kind of rule everything, and it's almost impossible for us to be treated fairly because of that. So it is just a concern of mine of citizens turning on each other, especially as more shortages come to, your grocery stores and stuff. Like I've heard stories of people fighting over toilet paper, And I think it's just kind of important to keep in mind that, that other person looking to get that last roll of toilet paper really isn't the enemy here. The fact that the news and that everyone else has put us in a spot to be so afraid, that's kind of who we're up against. But just like I said, I sense that there's just going to be a lot more self-isolation, and it'll go for a little bit longer than we were initially told. And it's just important to keep in mind that even though you might be spending quite a lot of time alone, which I know is very hard on a lot of people, it's not something that comes easily to most people. And also, if you suffer from mental illness, being quarantined without any human contact or without any schedule or routine can be extremely difficult. So it's just important to keep in mind that, you still have your friends. We are still all people. We're all connected in different ways. And we all are going through this together, even though we're still kind of alone in it. I'm just going to pull one more card for this. That was a whole bunch of cards. Let's reshuffle. One more card for COVID-19. Knight of Coins. So again, this is somebody stepping into the light with money, with financial luck. He's kind of being blessed in a sense. So again, with this card, like I said, I'm not. I don't know where I was going to go with that sentence. I don't think it'll be something that is going to prove to be overly fatal. Like I said, lots of people are still at risk for this, and you do have to keep that in mind, as well as if you're not someone who might get sick from it, remember that you could still carry it with you and pass it on to someone who could be very, very sick and fall quite ill from this. But like I said, it's not necessarily this is a blessing at all, but it is going to, after the fact, I think we're going to find that there are going to be changes in our sort of work world and the economic stance of everything. I feel like there's just going to be kind of a change in how the government and everything deals with situations like this. And I'm just kind of, it looks like we are going to be seeing a positive side to this, if that makes sense. And, all I can really recommend is holding on until then. So, just to recap real quickly before I end this video, like I said, I'm sensing, and from the cards, it looks like we are going to be in quarantine or dealing with self-isolation or having to kind of have more things shut down around us for a little bit longer than the government's expecting. And I do think this is going to be really hard on some people. So like I said, it's just important to remember that this isn't a problem with your fellow friends and stuff, right? And to please, please, please keep treating each other with respect and love and compassion, because I do think it might become a bit of a problem in terms of, people kind of pitting themselves against each other, especially when you are running out of supplies or, the grocery stores are shut down and you're out of things to eat sort of thing. I can see how this could become a problem depending on how long we're in quarantine. So, just please help out your friends, help out your family, help out your neighbors, and, likewise, hopefully if everyone has that mentality, then nothing major will happen. And understand that once this is over, once they have a vaccine created or they have a cure for it, and they are starting to help cure people on a much faster rate, and this becomes less of a big pandemic than it is, then understand that I do think it is going to be changing the way that situations like this are happen. So I'm trying to think of that sentence. Sorry. I think it's going to change the way that situations such as this are handled. And I keep losing my train of thought. I'm sorry. Anyway, point is, at the end of all this, I think something good is going to come out of it, and I'm really hoping it means the government treating its citizens maybe a little bit better. Hopefully for America, that might look like, more people voting for Bernie Sanders, in hopes to get the free health care, or, depending on who gets into office, whoever it is, hopefully looking at options to help people when it comes to taking care of their health, as well as, in Canada too, to be offering sort of paid sick leave. Because even like having a cough like that, if I'm coughing all day long, I don't really want to be going into work and risking making everyone else sick. And especially since even the common cold, it's not nearly that fatal, right? Like, I can't think of a single person I know who's ever fallen very ill from the common cold. But again, people have really young children. People have to take care of elderly parents and just stuff like that. And, there's always that risk whenever you're sick and you're going out to your work when you're really sick of putting other people at risk for whatever you're sick with. And this is totally like a side thing from coronavirus, right? Like, it's not COVID-19, just your common cold or a flu or something. That's still, a lot of people still go to work because we don't have paid sick days, or at least a lot of places don't have paid sick days. So I'm hoping after this, that might be a thing that changes, and it kind of looks like it will, hopefully. The government's going to look into how to take care of its people, and companies are going to look more into taking better care of their employees. So anyway, that's my whole reading for today. Sorry it was kind of long. I rambled a lot. I'm sure half of what I said didn't make a lick of sense because I have a thing for just saying garbage all the time. But hopefully that gives you some comfort, at least in knowing that it is going to get better at some point. And things are going to change after too. Like there will be change. So anyway, I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. I hope you're staying safe, and please take care of yourself right now. I love you all so much, and I'll see you tomorrow with another video.